All right, well, we're waiting on parts for one. We'll come out and look at another. 2009 Scion. The lady dropped it off last night. Stopped in this morning and told me she's coming down the road and it's got no power at all. Oh, I just like the steering wheel. She said she left the keys in it for me. Didn't know if the engine light was on or anything, she said. Oh, that's weird. Got a flickering battery light. We do have an engine light, maintenance required light. Turn the headlights on. I can't tell if it's misfiring. Let me put it in gear. Oh, definitely misfiring, and we have a battery light. Surprised we don't have a flashing check engine light. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now we've got the flashing check engine light, but that's kind of bizarre, huh? Well, I don't think we need to go for a drive. Let's just pull it up here behind some of the other ones. We're 3 deep now, waiting on part. Whoa, yeesh! Brakes are a little catchy. I do remember that this vehicle was in, a few months back. She had an ignition coil go bad on it, and I did one ignition coil, and I did put spark plugs in it for her then. I'll have to double check. I don't know if we can tell by looking which one I did. Maybe the new one's gone bad, or maybe it's another one. Maybe it's a time to do the other 3. Who knows? But we'll find out here. We'll see what code is in it. We're just going to go to the ECM for right now. See if it has another failed coil. So cylinder 3, it's telling us. What I'm kind of wondering about though is the system charging. So let's start it up. Just out of curiosity, do we have a couple issues? Yeah, and that sucker is not charging. Let me turn the headlights on. Headlights are on bright. Yeah, voltage dropped down. So that's kind of interesting. What kind of bad luck is that to get a cylinder 3 misfire and all of a sudden it's not charging? Boy, this is a pretty terrible picture here. I wanted to get a picture of the charging system because we're going to have to check out both things. This lady's misfire and the charging system to see what's going on there. Okay, so that's our light circuit. That's our ignition feed circuit. And then we've got, looks like, okay, that's our main. So we got 3 there, and then what's that, air conditioning amplifier? What? So that's pretty interesting. Okay, well, I don't know. That's just some bad luck there, lady, I guess, but let's find out. And here we are, 6 o'clock at night. Just like that, turn of a switch. This was the Scion that was dropped off. I think we had left off. I ordered an ignition coil for it and an alternator in case we need it. Now, we're going to test the alternator. I did print out a wiring diagram for us now that our day's caught up. And I have one here just in case that's what we need. And same thing with the ignition coil here, the number 3 cylinder. Now, I did speak with a lady because she called, to fill me in on the details of the car and so on and so forth. And I did ask her if she noticed the battery light was on. She said she didn't. She said when she dropped it off last night, she's like, the engine light was on and was flashing. And then she told me how far she drove it with that. And she's like, I know I wasn't supposed to, but she had to get home. So I was like, well, whatever. But she said the battery light was not on. So that's kind of interesting. Here's the number 3 coil. What we can do, we can give it the old swapperoo with, 1, 2, or 4. Or we can just take the new damper one and plug it in. And this is like a total parts cannon move, don't get me wrong. Don't judge me. You can judge me, it's okay. But I'm pretty confident. I did look when I was in the office there with the very lovely Mrs. O to see when I put plugs in it. And now I gotta go see what miles are on it. We're not even gonna put that in, we'll just go see if it runs smooth. It was a little longer ago than I thought. 233, 768 or something she told me is when I did the iridiums. Oh wow, she got 246. So it was a little longer ago than I thought. Oh, look at that, runs smooth as butter now. So now we don't have to do any testing on the coil, but we still have that little issue. So bizarre, huh? Alright. Was that the right way to diagnose a failed ignition coil? No, it's not. I'll be honest with you. But it's what you do when you've been busting hump all day and you just want to go home. When you're making a YouTube video, you usually don't do that though. You test the coil all proper. Get that a little snug. I probably should just be a nice guy and order the other two for it because they're likely going to not be far behind those first two. The alternator though, I'm not just going to go wing a couple $100 alternator at it. So I think we found the problem. Let's see. So I did start it up and you can see the jiggly bits in the alternator are not turning near as fast as they should be. Let's see if you can see it. You guys may not be able to see this. You can see down in there. So you can see the jiggly bits in there moving around. Nowhere near at the rate of speed that the belt is. And I'm going to very gingerly. So there, the alternator is completely stopped from rotating now. And I take my pick out, and now it's just sitting dead still. We give her a little kickstart here. So there, now it's just barely rotating. But you see we got something flapping off the belt also, right here. So something's going on there also. But yeah, it looks like the decoupler pulley is bad. So I spoke with this lady and told her that, you know, we fixed the misfire, it just needs ignition coil, not a big deal. And then told her what's going on here with the alternator as far as needing a decoupling pulley. And told her that I had ordered an alternator for today. You know, I didn't order the pulley. I should have looked at that when we were outside. That's my mistake. But let her know I can't have one till tomorrow and I could have it done by, you know, the end of the day. She just says, put the alternator on if that'll fix it. I'm like, well, it's quite a bit more money, lady. And she says, do it. And I said, okay. She seemed quite grateful that we were staying late to fix her car. But it's because honestly, I don't have much time to work on it any other time. But it's a, you know, she broke down with it. And apparently they're quite desperate for this vehicle. They usually have 3 vehicles in their family. But one of them got totaled and she hit a deer. And so now they're down to 2, and without this car, they're down to 1. But I mean, I could have it done by the end of the day tomorrow, but apparently she just wants it. So, you know what I do? I don't argue. We just keep on keeping on. I suppose we could probably, if push came to shove, you could pull the decoupling pulley off the new napper one and stick on here, and then just buy a new pulley for tomorrow, stick on a nap one, stick that back in the box, but who wants to be that guy? No sense in checking any portion of the charging circuit because this one is mechanically broken, so we're not worried about it. It could be it did not like driving with all the misfires, you know, all that herking and jerking probably took out the pulley. It's like an overrunning clutch. Oops, excuse me, folks. Gotta stick my head in here. I can't see. If you guys don't know what they are, we'll have a closer look at it when we take it out here. I'll show you guys. Looks like a mechanical belt tension adjuster, plus it needs a new belt. I told her that. Said, you need a new belt, lady. So this is a 12. That's a 12. There's something else down on the bottom. I thought I was getting out of this one easy, get to go home early. Negative. Well, maybe the wiser choice in the end, who knows? Who knows? Crack this fuse. All I know is it's nice and quiet around here at the end of the day. Makes working pretty wonderful. Sometimes I get more done in a few hours after work than I do all day at work, you know. Reach down here with the 14. We're going to need a bit of an extension. About an inch. Crack loose here. So there's that little fella. There's that little fella. Okay, so there's those two bolts. I think this bracket needs to up out of our way. I might get a 12 mil wrench. Looks like this motor mount's in the way, so we got to get that with the open end of the wrench, hopefully. Oh, look at that, hallelujah. Okay, that'll get that up. Hopefully enough room to get the alternator out. And I think that's only the two bolts. I'm not gonna sit here and try to hold that, so we're just gonna snug it back up very gingerly. Keep that out of the way. If we gotta take it off, we'll have to pull the engine mount there. I slid the belt off, and that should be the only two wires. We just gotta get it to wiggle up off its bracket. Unlike that Nissan we did there that one day, man, that thing was miserable with that rear bolt. This has the collapsing bolt though, that where the nut there that takes up the space. Come on, baby. She's almost up off, so it's a little snug to get it off that bracket. But it should pop off there. Hopefully we don't have to take the intake off or something stupid. Come on, you son of a- there we go. Now the $1,000,000 question is, will it fit out? Oh, you mother lover. Oh yeah, work it. Well, look at me go. I didn't think I could spin it that easy. Is it coming? Oh, you gotta be out now, baby. Oh, it doesn't clear the freaking intake, would you? Look at that. Did all that spinning, and it won't clear. Well, that just sucks. Maybe that gives us enough room. Let's try it. Let's not give up quite yet, fellas. Let's see. So we had it. This AC line, it needs to be tweaked just ever so slightly. Got the positive stud sticking off there. Maybe I should watch a YouTube video on how to do this. Or read service data. Oh, baby is born. Now here's, all that's really wrong with the other one is just this pulley. So like I say, it's a decoupling pulley, or a pulley with like an overrun clutch in it. So if, can you guys see the fan inside the alternator turning? So we technically should be able to hold that still in one direction. See how I can hold that fan still but still turn the pulley? But in this direction I can't. Only in this direction. So it's just like I said, it's just an overrunning clutch and or decoupling pulley, however you wanna, whatever type of lingo you wanna use there. And then this bottom bolt, this nut that goes in here, you gotta make sure that it's popped out of the alternator bracket, because when we tighten it, this takes up the slack. This is gonna, that direction when we tighten up the bolt, you see. Bolt goes through here, goes in there, and when we tighten it, that's gonna pull in and take up the slack. Okay? Who remembers the way it came out? I think it was something like this. Or like this maybe, I don't know. It doesn't matter. We just need to fissure down in there. We don't want to break the anything. And then fill in the blank. Right, okay, it's on that alternator on that AC line. Gotta wiggle it past that AC line a little bit. Let me see if we can be a little more ginger on it. There we go. But we're right up against that battery stud and we don't want to hurt that. So I'm just going to push that AC line over just ever so gingerly. like so. And then we'll do a flip around. Classic move. You guys probably can't see anything, but just go with it. You'll get it. And we'll pull this bracket back up and wiggle that bolt back in it. See all that? We didn't have to pull the motor mount, right? We did not have to go get the floor jack. Nobody got time for that. We'll get that bolt. Start retightening that a little bit. Now we're back to where we started. We got this little bracket up out of our way. We're going to set the alternator on its bracket down here, which it should set on pretty easily. See how that sits on pretty easy? And we'll stick the big bolt in after we get a little lube for it. We bring this down. There's a hole down here by the washer jug that fits in really nice. I think it allows you to get that bolt out. And then we've got to find the hole. And that's going to just take a little bit of wiggling. A little bit of feeling. You'll know when it's in though. You gotta trust me. It's only going to go one way. There she goes. And then you're going to have to wiggle it around here while turning the bolt to get it to line up on the other side of the alternator there for you. Feels like it went in. And before we get too far, I'm just going to go down here with a little 14 ratchet wrench and spin that in most of the way. Everything but the last little ugga-dugga on it. This is the bracket that holds the wiring harness on, so we don't want to forget that. I mean, if yours is broke, it's probably not a huge deal, but ours isn't, so we'll lightly snug that up. And then we can bring our wiring harness up, click it back on there, plug it back in, plug the alternator wire in, or the big battery wire, find the bolt nut for it. There's that, and then we're going to use the old 10. Don't crush it, just give it a light little snug. We're going to stick the plastic cap back on here. Well, that pulled off pretty dang easy for not wanting to go on very good. Kind of spread that apart there just a little bit. Come on, baby. Woo! There we go. And click that back on. And now, we do need to fish the new belt in. You just need to drop this little piece of plastic here. This is all aftermarket plastic on this one, so the stuff's really thin. You have to be really careful with it. There's clips and stuff missing, but yeah, just 2 bolts. Took that down, and then you can fish your belt all up and around how it needs to go. See if I can give you a picture of that there so you can see. So around the crank, around the AC, backside of the water pump, and then up to our alternator, which may be kind of difficult to see for you, but it's a pretty simple belt system. I'm going to leave the little plastic shield out here until until we're satisfied. I'm just going to take and bring it around, and we'll probably put a couple clips in it for this lady, and then those 2 bolts that hold it on up there. There's a couple 10mm bolts, but we're going to leave that for right now. And you leave that loose just because you know darn well the belt's going to pop off in one rib or something. At least that's my luck. So we're going to stick the bolt back in here. We're going to start tightening it up. Get a little bit of tension on it, see if we can't check the tension on this belt with a belt tension gauge. If not, we're going to have to do some old school, well, guesswork, I guess it would be. So we've got the old belt tension gauge hanging on there. She's still a little bit low. We need to tighten it up just a whisker. And there are some more, folks. I looked on service data. They want this belt super tight, 143 pounds of deflection. Right now, well, it said 143 to 160 something, I think. New belt, 143 to 165 is supposed to be LB, because all the other conversions works Newton meters, kilograms of force, and then it's supposed to be pounds. 143 to 165 LBS. And where are we at here? We're about we're between 140 and 160. We're on the higher side of the scale now, about 160. So we'll leave it. It's pretty snug. And I think that ends up putting it back about where it was, to be honest with you. Then you just have to be sure to, you know, tighten up your 2 bolts. Everything looks good. Alternator's spinning, battery light went out, and we should be able to see it charging now. Yeah, we can, so now it's charging. We don't have to do a bunch of charging system checks, like I say, simply because this one, you know, is mechanically broken. Yeah, that coupler's junk. You can see the inside of the alternator's not turning at all when I do that. So when we wiggle like that, it's holding dead still. Yep, just a bad decoupler, folks. But with 200+ thousand on it, she just decided it's the way to go. We'll leave it at that, folks. Seems to work good. Charging good. Lights out. Should have tested the coil to be 100% sure. Absolutely. Little fart scanning on my part there. But, you know, we rolled the diagnostic dice. Had some pretty good odds. Alternator, you know, part of me kind of wishes she could have just waited till tomorrow evening and we could have got a decoupling pulley. It would have definitely been less money. Same amount of work, still had to pull it off, swap the pulley, but it is what it is. She wants her car, wants it now. She didn't say it. She's a nice lady, so, but maybe it's better off this way. Better off because it's high mileage, but you know, we also put an aftermarket alternator on it, so who knows? Kind of darn if you do, darn if you don't, isn't that what they say? And don't you leave me here saying, oh darn, you didn't go in the comment section. So go down in there, questions, comments, Insta, Facebook, Patreon, Teespring, all that stuff. I don't have symbols for those. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.